growing your own food is really fun, and it's been great. It's a great way for me to learn farming while I live here in the city.
Food is definitely tastier, and I like being involved with the community.
The trend is there. It's undeniable. People are starting to make an effort to take a concerted responsibility towards what they're eating, how they're eating, and what product they're eating within season.
When it started, I want to say it was like 30 or 40 years ago, the city started what was called a pea patch program. It was for urban gardening to give neighborhoods and neighbors a chance to grow food in the city. So as someone who was interested in community, I became involved with that group that formed to start this pea patch. It expanded both in terms of funding and involvement until, it bore fruit in this park.
So City Grown is an urban farm, and we use bits and pieces of underutilized urban land to grow vegetables for market. So I manage our Crown Hill plot, which means everything from seeding, weeding, watering, harvesting, and marketing. We have our Wednesday afternoon market stand right here. City Grown is part of a city pilot program to use city-owned land for commercial urban agriculture. It's a brand new thing this year. Here in somebody's backyard, we trade the landlords we pay in food. So they come to our farm stand every week and pick out what they want.
This summer we embarked on a journey called Art Institute Pop-Up Garden Project. First, the project started out with developing more of a sense of community within my own community. And I came up with the idea of visiting gardens to show people who we visited and seeing what they can do with their own garden and their own efforts and their own sustainable practices. It gave my students a chance to go out into a community outside their own to hopefully learn some things about food themselves, but at the same time to show people what to do with their efforts. I've been cooking since I was a boy. I do have memories of my mom basically saying, "Honey, you make the best sandwiches." I think it was always in my blood, always there for me to do at some point in my life. Well, I think there's just a general sense of accomplishment when you're cooking the vegetables and eating the food that you're growing yourself. And you don't have to go to the store. I think it was really interesting to watch the reaction of people at the pop-up garden events that we did, to see the other people that were participating going, "Wow, I never thought of that." Oh, and you could start to see the light bulb go on and people's heads clicking and saying, "Oh, you mean I can do that? Wonderful."
I always liked gardening because I had an Italian grandfather who came over when he was 15 by himself, and he grew everything he planted from seed, flowers and vegetables. It's a good way of returning the ownership of feeding oneself to individuals and to a community. It also lessens our carbon footprint because you're growing food locally instead of living in a world where everything is provided to us, often from a long distance.
Well, I got into farming from an environmental perspective. I have a bachelor's in environmental studies, and the more I got into environmental work, the more connections to food issues I found, and so that intrigued me to start getting in firsthand and figuring out what it's like to produce some of your own food. There's a lot of really deep problems with the way that we grow most of our food. It's way more fun to actually grow the vegetables and be involved, to see everything from bare brown earth to an excited family, you know, picking out vegetables at the farm stand. That whole process, it's so fun.
Nature growing a plant and then being able to do something with that plant at its life's end, and then to have it appear on the table. I think it's imperative that people understand the time consumption, what it takes for a farmer or anyone in that matter to do this. There's a certain amount of love and dedication to it. I think the trend isn't going to slow down. I think, if anything, the trend is going to get larger over time as people start to really understand what goes into having, creating, and making healthy food that can sustain not only themselves and their families, but their friends alike.
I like growing things, and I like being involved with the community. It's really incredible that from a little seed comes all this stuff, and all these plants and flowers, they're part of an ecosystem. It makes me feel a part of something.
Yeah, I see people's consciousness changing, people becoming more aware of where food comes from, but it's not all just, you know, the ethics and the values of like why you should support a more sustainable food system. It's also that it tastes really good.
I think it's a great practice. I think nowadays people are taking better care of themselves. And the whole yard to table concept is simple. Grow your own food. I think that's a great responsibility. And I think that's why I do it day in and day out.